Hey guys, Nicolai here. Before we go back to a time when Heimerdinger could literally hoard all the minions in the game to himself, while simultaneously completely disconnecting everybody in his game, I first need to let you know that this video is sponsored by ProGuides, a platform built to reach your dream rank. They have detailed courses, champion tier list, matchup stat tools, and a 24/7 challenger coach who you can talk to at any time. Also, they currently have a brand new course from Nightblue 3 all about mastering the jungle. Make sure to check out that and more with the first link in the description. Now with that being said, let's jump into the video. Video games. For the most part, most games launch in a complete and perfect state. On the flip side, there are game companies who rather sell you broken games and then try to fix it later. But in the middle of those two are ever-changing games, meaning that since launch, these games are meant to be constantly updated with new features, new characters, and at times, even completely new game modes. However, sometimes when developers go back to tinker with things, they end up unintentionally breaking something that they didn't even touch. And sometimes these mistakes can actually be pretty significant. So with that being said, let's get started with 5 times Riot Games broke League of Legends. Beginning with number 5, we take ourselves to the year 2013 for the Tiamat drop hack. I'm sure we're all familiar with the item Tiamat. It's used to build a couple other items and has a unique active that allows you to deal damage to enemies around your champion. But in 2013, it kind of had like a cheat code instead. If a user purchased Tiamat, put the item in slot 6, picked up the item with their mouse and dropped it back down at the exact same time as they pressed 6 on their keyboard, everyone in the game would disconnect. No one could reconnect to the game, you would have to close League of Legends, and once you opened the client, it would look like that game you were in never happened. Here's a video I found of someone actually demonstrating exactly how it's done.
I'm about to prove how broken Riot's game is for you guys. You guys don't believe me, okay? So, everyone sees this, okay? This is a normals game, by the way, and it's a 4-on-5, so it's a completely unfair game. So you have your Tiamat item right here on slot 6, okay? You're going to grab it and move it like this, and right as you drop it, you're going to press 6, okay? Like so. And now the game's broken. And now everybody leaves, and the entire game ends, and it doesn't show up in your match history. This is a normals game, I swear. Look, you guys can see, there's real people in here. Wukong's spinning out. You see this? I can't make this up, dude.
Well, what?
Now, of course, Riot Games didn't intentionally do this. Somehow they messed up the code and gave Tiamat an active equivalent to the Thanos snap. Except instead of 50%, it's everything. Now, jokes aside, this was a really bad thing. Because let's say you're winning a ranked game, you're about to win in a couple minutes, but someone on the enemy team knows how to do this little trick. And now, your game is gone. You don't get a victory, that salty Teemo on the enemy team doesn't get a defeat, and everyone's time is wasted. From what I could find, it seems that this bug was in the game for a good couple weeks, until Riot Games eventually fixed it. Moving on to number 4, we go to my favorite patch note that I've ever seen. Inside of one of the many patches made in Season 5 of League of Legends, users noticed an odd bug fix. Syndra can no longer pick up Baron with her W. To many people, this was the first time they even heard about this being possible, because the issue wasn't actually widespread at all, but it was definitely a real issue. On the screen right now, you're seeing exactly how this Syndra and Baron interaction would go down. With her ability Force of Will, Syndra is capable of picking up any minion or neutral monster. This is not supposed to include the Baron. But regardless of that, with this bug, Syndra is able to pick up the Baron and drop him off wherever she pleases. Although, once dropping off the Baron itself stays in a constant state of healing, meaning that now neither team is able to obtain this objective, creating one of the classic moments of if I can't have it, nobody can. By the way, this ancient ability was not only unique to Syndra, because even further back in time, back when the champion Poppy looked like this, she was also able to just push the Baron around to wherever she pleased, including taking the Baron on a trip to the mid lane to get some free towers and win the game. But let's rewind that a couple more years back, all the way to the start of League of Legends for number 3. You know, today, these little guys really get in the way. Sometimes they just completely block us from where we're trying to go. So, one day Heimerdinger had enough. Instead of being blocked by the minions, Heimerdinger flipped the switch and now it was he who was blocking the minions. This is how it happens. In one of the earliest stages of the game we know today, some players discovered that if you play as Heimerdinger, sit right in front of the Nexus and place down 2 of your turrets between Heimerdinger, you would essentially gate off any minions from getting past you. You would not, however, stop them from spawning. So the rest of your teammates can go ahead and play the game as normal, except with no minions in the mid lane. At least not until you decide to open up the floodgates. Now, although that Heimerdinger situation literally took place in one of the earliest stages of League of Legends, number 2 literally happened just a couple weeks ago. I'm talking about the tale of the invisible Nunu. This one's quite simple. Let's say you're minding your business, just farming top lane, and then you get into a little fight. You're not expecting anything serious. But out of nowhere, Nunu will just suddenly appear on your screen, and now you're in a 2v1 fight. This bug, for whatever reason, allowed Nunu to be completely invisible from the map and the player's screen up until he gets almost right in front of you. As you can imagine, this can be quite significant for ganking. And to make things even more interesting, some people complained that this bug should make Nunu disabled. But the bug wasn't a common occurrence, so nothing happened. Until later on, a Riot employee was streaming and he himself encountered the invisible Nunu, in which he said he'll go and fix it himself on Monday.
What the f? We haven't fixed that bug? What are we doing? Why isn't that fixed? That just lost us a winning lane. God, I'll go fix it myself on Monday. Ugh.
Despite this though, apparently it was fixed, but then it popped up again. From the Riot comments I could find, it seemed that the bug was actually harder to replicate than it seemed. However, as of making this video, I think the bug has now disappeared entirely. Now, number 1. The most impactful mistake Riot Games ever made was the time that they broke Teemo. In January of 2017, on patch 7.1, Teemo had an abusable bug that would allow Teemo to go invisible almost instantly, even while attacking. Additionally, Teemo was also able to recall while invisible, basically making Teemo a little too overpowered. And after the bug was discovered, Riot Games disabled Teemo from being played in all game modes. Cases like these aren't that unique though. Accidents like this happen all the time, and Riot will give out a little notice saying a champion is temporarily disabled. However, in most cases, a champion is only disabled for a couple hours, maybe a day or two in an extreme case. But this time, Teemo was disabled for almost an entire week. Meaning that the players of League of Legends weren't able to play as Teemo, the Swift Scout, for a whole week. This was one of the darkest times in League of Legends history. I mean, realistically, most people probably didn't care. But I do think these times when an entire champion has to be disabled are quite interesting. For those curious, the longest time a champion has been disabled seems to be that one time Riot Games said Gangplank was killed prior to releasing his rework. During that time, he was unplayable for almost 2 weeks. And really, that's all I got for today, guys. I'm working on making more consistent uploads, so if you're not already, make sure to subscribe so that you can be the first to leave a very meaningful comment when I post a new video.